Hello, I'm Lisa Ruble from Quilty Zest, and I'm here today with a little lunch and learn session to see how to make seasonal sports pillows. So this is what we're going to be making. I'm going to talk about some other options besides soccer balls as well, but I'm going to give some people a little bit more time to arrive. So we're just going to hang out for a minute. I am doing some cutting of my pieces. If you see this, you might know what the other shape we're going to do besides a soccer ball is today. We will see. But I'm so glad that you could join us. And if you are watching this later on YouTube, thanks for watching there as well. The templates for this project are in a link on the blog post on ThermOWeb's website. So you can find the pieces there that you would need to make this project. And if you look behind me, you can see I've got my Halloween decorations up. These are my Strippy Improv Halloween projects, and I'll be starting my annual Halloween sew-along soon for making these projects. And I've got 11 different blocks in the pattern, and you can choose which ones you want to make, and I walk you through the steps of making them, and you can finish it in time to have it up for Halloween. So I thought it was fun to pull those out. We have not yet decorated for Halloween at my house, but I'm sure it will be happening soon as this weekend's soccer games are over. So while I cut, I will talk a little bit about why I chose to make this project, and we'll give people a little more time to show up. So I have 3 boys, and all 3 of them play soccer, and it's all in the same season, which is right now in fall. And 2 weeks ago, over the course of the weekend, we have had 9 soccer games. And this coming weekend, we have either 6 or 7, depending on how well the team does, because one of them is in a tournament. And so, as you might imagine, with that many soccer games and then the practices that go with it, we spend a lot of time thinking about soccer, driving to soccer, watching soccer, playing soccer. And so it just seemed like the natural choice that we needed a decorative soccer pillow for our house. In fact, by the time I'm done, I'm thinking I'm going to have one for each of my 3 boys that they can keep in their room if they want. So that's sort of where I came up with the idea for the soccer pillow. And I see Dawn from ThermOWeb in the comments. Hi, Dawn. So nice to see you today. And thanks for being the behind-the-scenes mojo maker, putting in the links and keeping track of what people are saying. ThermOWeb is also giving away a $25 gift card today to shop at thermoweb.com for either the supplies that you see me using in this project or supplies for another project that you might be interested in making. They've got fusible products, interfacing that's sew-in and fusible, and a lot of paper crafting products, which is an area I keep getting tempted to learn more about, but for now I'm sticking with fabric. Fusible fleece, liquid vinyl, all kinds of great products to help you transform your fabric into creations. Alrighty, so I am cutting out all of the pieces for my soccer ball, and I learned the hard way that it was very important to label them, because once they're not on the soccer ball shape as you're trying to build the soccer ball, it's very confusing to figure out which pieces go in which places. So all of my pieces have little numbers on them so I can put them back together. And I will talk about how to do that when we start the tutorial. So I chose to use solid fabrics for my project because I wanted it to have more of a modern look and not be super cutesy, because a couple of my older teenage boys are growing out of cutesy. So I thought by using solid it would look a little more adult than maybe some cute soccer print fabric, but If you've got some fun sports fabric, this would be a great project to use it for. And I also, I assembled my pillow. Where did I put it down? I assembled mine with a zipper. And so then I was able to put a pillow insert inside, which I can remove. And I used to always do pillows with envelope backs instead of with zippers. Ooh, Carlotta's here. Hi, nice to see you. But so anyway, I used to do pillows with the envelope backs where you kind of slide it between two pieces in the back. But I didn't love how sometimes the fabric pulled on the back. So I started working on zippers instead and got pretty confident with that. And so I'm actually going to ask at the end of the session today, I've been meaning to put together a zipper tutorial of how to put a zipper into a pillow. So I just kind of wanted to gauge interest for that and see if that's something that people would be interested in, just to show you how I put mine together. Hi, Linda's joining us as well. Fantastic. So again, I'm Lisa Ruble from Quilty Zest, and this is my sports season pillow that I created. And it is a 14-inch square pillow, so it has a 14-inch pillow insert inside. I like to use the inserts the same size as the pillow because it gives them, they fill up nice and snug and just don't have any little like divots in them. So I always do the same size insert as my finished pillow. And I chose to make this pillow 14 inches because I wanted to have a shape for it that I could fit on one piece of paper. Because I don't know about you, but when I have to tape printed templates together to try to make my full shape, that just adds one more layer of complication to a project. So anytime I can do applique that fits on one printer's piece of paper, that's kind of the way that I go. So I think I'm going to get started talking about how I did this project. Like I said at the beginning, and if you look in the comments, you can see it from Dawn, there's a link to the blog post which has both the list of materials I used for this pillow as well as the PDF that you can download that has the template shapes in them. So if you're going to make the pillow, that would be a great place to start, either after you're watching this video or while you're watching it if you're doing the replay on YouTube. So when I was a kid, I liked to draw a lot and I liked to play sports. I played volleyball, basketball, softball, and dabbled in a bunch of others. Those are the ones I played in school. I never played soccer, but I also never drew soccer balls because if you look at the soccer ball shape, first of all, I could never remember if they were pentagons or if they were hexagons, but it always seems so hard to kind of fit those puzzle pieces together and to draw the black shapes onto the white circle. And I finally figured out the trick to this when I was working on this particular project. And the trick is that you start with black and then you put the white shapes on top. And by doing that, you end up with the little outlines around your white shapes because they're cut a little bit smaller. And then the black background shows through to create the black shapes as well. So that was how I finally successfully drew a soccer ball. So what I'm starting out with this project is a black circle, and I traced, show you that there's 2 template pages for this, and I traced them both onto Fusible web. So I've got the circle and then I've got the soccer ball shape, which has all of the white hexagons and partial hexagons that we're going to be using. And so in the template there are two pages that look like this, and one says templates are shown in reverse, and this is the one we're going to be tracing. And I just realized that the second sheet is on my printer, so give me 5 seconds. And the second sheet is the mirror image of that. And I will talk about this a little bit later, why we have that. And then I also put together a football shape as well, so that anyone who wanted to make a pillow like this and has a football player in their life, this is another option you can make. So we're going to talk about both of those. I'm going to grab my ThermOWeb supplies that I use for this project. First of all, I have the Fusible web, which I've already traced my shapes and cut them out. It's the HeatnBond sewable Lite, and this is what I use when I do applique. So you trace it onto the paper side, and then we're going to fuse it onto our fabric pieces. This is the brown for my football. Dawn says she thinks her husband would like a football pillow for snacks. Absolutely. Yep. And then I use the Fusible fleece, and I do this to quilt the pillow top, and then I also quilt the back so that they both have the same feel and kind of level of stiffness. And you can see on the front of this, I quilted a lot of skinny lines together so that it looked more like a texture thing. And on the back, and of course I'm in my sewing studio, so there's lots of little threads on this. But on the back, once I fuse the fleece to my backing fabric, I just put a couple lines in, because that will help to just give to secure the fleece to the pillow in addition to the fusing, and just give it a little bit of body. So I've got the Fusible fleece front and back. And then we have, so in football, there's something in Seattle called the 12th man, and it's actually is the crowd, but the idea is there's 11 players on the football field, and the 12th man is actually the crowd who is cheering the team on and making it hard for the other team to do well. So my 12th man for this project is the HeatnBond Fusible Interfacing, the lightweight version. And the reason I use this in this project is because I told you we're going to be cutting the soccer ball circle out of black fabric. And when you go to put white fabric on top of it, a lot of times that black will show through. And we want our white to be nice and bright. So this is a piece of just plain white that is showing through. And then I'll take one of my pre-cut pieces and take the paper off the back. Help me remember later, this is number 4. And this has the lightweight fusible, or the lightweight interfacing on the back, and the black doesn't show through anymore, and the white is much brighter. So what I did is, before I fused my shape onto the white fabric, I first fused a piece of the interfacing onto the back of my white fabric. So I'm going to slide my pieces over and do that right now. And I'm going to just tilt this down so that you can see. And then this is the point when I pull out my the other ThermOWeb product that I use, which is these pressing papers. And they've got a shiny side and a paper side. You put the shiny side on top of your project, and it just protects both your iron and your surfaces from any of that fusible getting stuck onto them. So it's a barrier layer between the two. So I'm going to fuse that on. So I know it's hard to see because it's white on white, but I do have the interfacing on the back side of my white. And then I'm going to take, this is actually the stripe on the football, traced onto the fusible adhesive, and I'm going to put that right on top of the interfacing layer. And then I'm going to put my pressing paper right over the top, because that will protect my iron from the interfacing, and fuse that in place. So I've added in that extra layer, which will keep the white from showing through. I was actually teaching a class yesterday and was showing this technique, and the way we ended up referring to it was that you think of the interfacing like a lady's slip that goes between your dress and your body so that your legs don't show through your dress. And so I thought, I know Dawn's got a simile that she uses as well, but I also liked that lady slip one. So now I've got this thicker white layer which won't show through on the brown. Okay, so as long as I'm fusing things, I am going to put my pre-traced football shape. And again, these templates are in the blog post. There's a link to them in the blog post that Dawn has put in the comments. It's on the ThermOWeb blog. And I'm going to fuse, oops, you know what? I was talking and not paying attention. I'll put my pressing paper down and fuse this in place. So, like I explained at the beginning why I was using a soccer ball for my pillow, and then mentioned that I had also made, or had also put together a design for a football pillow, thinking that that was another great fall sport. So I'm curious, for those of you who are watching, if you could leave a comment letting me know, is there another sport or just another, a design that you would like to put on a pillow like this? Maybe you're, feeling like pumpkin season is around the corner and you'd like to do a pumpkin or a flower, or thinking way ahead to winter and doing a snowman. But leave me a comment and let me know what shape you'd be interested in doing. And maybe it's the soccer ball or the football, in which case that's great. But I thought we could brainstorm a little bit about different shape options. So now I'm going to cut out my football shape. And I was happy to find this brown in my stash. I was looking for what in my mind would be a very football type brown color, and I think this worked out pretty well. Okay, there we go. There's my football. And then I've got, so I'm going to leave the paper backing on it right now because I'm going to build the football shape right here, and then I will put it onto the background piece. So I've got, there we go. I've got 2 stripes that go on the end, and when you download the template, you will also see, you can kind of use that as a guide that shows where the pieces go. But so I'm going to, whoops, I missed a little spot in my cutting here. Okay. So I'm going to peel the paper backing off and put this on. And it should line up pretty well, but if your cutting wasn't quite perfect, you can always trim a little bit afterwards. And I'm actually going to just do one piece at a time, because then I can make sure that they don't slide and they're in exactly the right spot. So I'm going to fuse the stripe at that end in place. And if you're watching me put my iron sole plate down on my ironing board and feeling nervous that I'm burning things, this is my Lisa Smart Iron, and it's got little sensor feet that go up and down. So that is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing with it, and it keeps you from having to do the wrist motion of up and down. Okay, oops. Sometimes I'm still in the habit of lifting it up, and now I've got the laces to put down the middle. This is a little fussier piece to cut because it's got all of those little details in it. But I'm going to slide that right down the middle. And all of these pieces have that layer of interfacing in them so that the brown doesn't show through. Okay. And here is my finished football. So I'm going to set this aside for a second. And Dawn says, that's so cute. Thank you. Yeah, I think it's a lot of fun. Have you guys seen those, a lot of times you see them on Facebook, where people will create snack bars for like football watching season, and they put out like fruits or vegetables, either in the form of a football or of a stadium with the grass and all of that. And I think that's so clever. So I'm going to put my soccer ball together, and then we will assemble the pillow fronts. So I already traced my my circle onto my fusible adhesive, and I fused it onto my black solid fabric, and now I'm cutting out on this circle line. And so when we go to add in all those white pentagons and partial pentagons, I will show you why the template has two different shapes. Or sorry, two different drawings. So this second one is the placement diagram, because when you trace things onto Fusible Web, they end up in reverse. My brain doesn't work terribly well flipping between reverse and not reverse. So I printed out this one as well so I can look at this. It's got the same numbering system on it, and I can see exactly where all of those white pieces go. So on each of the pieces that I cut out with the paper on the back, I still have the number written from the template. So I can, this is number 5, and I can find number 5 on here and position it in place. So I'm going to put my template down as a visual aid, and I like to start in near the edge because it kind of helps me. No, shoot, I'm missing number 1. Where did it go? Well, we'll work with what I have. Okay, so I'm going to start with piece number 5. I'm going to peel it off. And these I am not going to fuse on one at a time because it is a bit like a puzzle, and I want to make sure that they all are in their right spots before I fuse them. Whereas with the football, it was a little easier to know that I had them in the right spots. These might need a little bit of tweaking as I go along. Okay, here's 4. And then for some of them, it's hard to tell which side is up, so I can actually lay it on my my sample and figure out which direction it's supposed to go. I think that one goes like that. Carletta says she has 3 grandsons who would love a football pillow. Well, and they're super easy to make too, which is a huge benefit. I love projects that you can make in an afternoon because I feel like so often if I put it away, then I don't actually ever come back to it. You know, I get caught up in something else and it just doesn't happen. So if I can get it all done in one sitting, that's a bonus for me. Okay, now I'm going to put on number 8. There, yep. It is very much, these soccer balls are a puzzle. Maybe this one is. There we go. There we go. I like to think this is why I didn't play soccer, because it was too hard to draw the shape of the ball. Okay. There's also the added pressure of doing this for the camera, because I know you all are watching me, so I feel like I've got to get it right. Here's the tiny little 2 piece that goes up here. Okay, now we've got 6. And my kids, their soccer balls are, they've got all kinds of fun colors now. They're not just black and white anymore. I think I have that one facing the wrong direction. But so I just did the classic black and white because I feel like that is the most recognizable of the shapes. But one of my kids has actually you can see it in the photo of this project that I have on Facebook and on the blog. One of them has like a lime green soccer ball with blue on it, and another one has a blue and white one, and I forget what the third kid's soccer ball is. But there's all these choices, and it's crazy. Then you go to practice and somebody else has the same soccer ball as you. You figure, you know, if you got one of the unusually colored ones, that you would be the only one with that color. And that's not always how it is. Okay, I've got one of these, still missing number 1, and I've got one of these upside down. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to fuse the ones that I know are correct in place. And then we'll go back to looking at the my finished soccer ball, where I was doing it off camera with less stress and got all the pieces in the right place. So I'm going to fuse these down. And so then for each of these pillows, I have a background square. You can see on this one, I've got the lighter blue for the background of the ball, and then I put a border around it of strips. And what I also chose to do, you can see my soccer ball is not centered on that square. I just, you know how you you hear like when there's photography tips and it says, you know, center the picture in, you know, 1/3 of your viewing space, just for a little added interest. So I was kind of playing around with that idea. And I left my background pieces on my other table. Here we go. I was ironing my big pieces of fabric on my large ironing board and they did not make the trip over. So my plan for this, for the football, we're going to move to that, is to put it on this blue piece. Both of my, two of my nephews, my youngest two nephews, play football, and their school colors are royal blue and white. And so I thought it would be fun to make this football pillow for them. So we can look at the options. We can put the football right in the middle, or do it kind of like I did with the soccer ball and have it going off the edge. If you do it off the edge, what you'll ultimately do is you'll trim off so like if you look at the soccer ball, on two sides, it extended past the edge of my square and the seam allowance. So you can trim it in advance, because then you won't be fusing it to your ironing board. So figure out where it's going to cut off, counting in your 1/4 inch seam allowance, and then trim it beyond that. If you need to, you can even mark it with a pencil, but make sure you leave it for the seam allowance, because that means that that edge will be nice and secure under that seam. But I think for the football, I'm gonna put it on an angle centered right in the middle. So I'm gonna peel the paper off of here. There we go. And one of the things I really like about HeatnBond is how shiny the fusible side is. So if you are working with solid fabrics, it's always very easy to tell which side you have the fusible adhered to, instead of having to, you know, kind of feel and guess. So I like to do just finger measurements and kind of say, okay, I've got about 2 fingers on each side of my square. That looks pretty centered. And then I'm going to press it down. Okay. So once you have your shape fused onto your square, and the squares that I'm using are 10.5 inch squares, and then the strips are 2.5 inches wide. So I've got this 10.5 inch kind of medium blue square, and then I'll be putting royal blue on the outside, and the first two will be 2.5 inches by 10.5 inches, and then the top and bottom will be 2.5 by 14.5, and that will make my 14.5 inch unfinished square. So I'm going to show you the next steps rather than having you watch me sew all the pieces together. Just move the iron a little bit more out of the way. So here I've got my 2.5 by 10.5 inch strips that I will be sewing to the left and right. And then, yeah, that blue behind the football I love that blue color. It's fantastic. These are shadow blush fabrics from Benartex, and I can't remember exactly what that one is called, but it's such a pretty color. And then I'll sew the royal blue strips top and bottom. And so I'll end up with a pillow top like this. And then my next step is to, and I've already got it pre-cut, I've got a same size piece of fusible fleece that I'm going to fuse onto the back of this. And it depends on what you like to do. You can either do your decorative stitching along the raw edges of your shapes before or after you do the fusible fleece. I've done it both ways, and it's just a matter of if you like having, I sometimes like having that extra layer because it makes it a little stiffer. Interfacing would do the same thing, but if you would prefer to do it without the fusible fleece, you can, but you're going to do a decorative stitch along the edge. And if you look at my soccer ball, I used black thread to kind of create that outline look, and especially because I had all of the little gaps between my white shapes. So I went around every single white shape as well as around the entire outer soccer ball, except for where it runs into the seams. And I did a little bit of a looser zigzag. I was trying not to have a satin switch, a satin stitch, but I did that, and that will help along with the Fusible to hold all of those pieces in place, especially as the pillow gets handled. So for the football, I'm going to do 2 different colors of thread. I'm going to do a white along my 2 stripes and the laces down the middle, and then I'm going to do a matching brown around the outside of the football, so that I kind of keep my thread blending with the fabric right there. And then after, whether you do your decorative stitching before or after the Fusible fleece, once you've added the Fusible fleece, it's time to quilt it. And you can do as little as just, stitching either in the ditch or right on the inner and outer side edge of this seam. Like I said, I chose to do a bunch of horizontal lines. I set my stitch length a little wider, and I used a gray thread that wouldn't show too much on the white or on the blue, so that it created more of a texture than of actual quilting. But it just gives the pillow a little bit more shape, and I like the look of it. So I quilted the front, and then I fused another piece of a square of Fusible fleece to a 14.5-inch square for the back, and quilted that as well. And like I said, I did fewer lines back here because I didn't have to do as many as the front, and I was getting bored with sewing straight lines. So you've got your front and your back, and then you add in the zipper. And there are definitely tutorials you can find online for doing zippers. But like I said, I've been meaning to make one. So if you could, leave a comment and let me know if a zipper tutorial is something that you'd be interested in seeing, to see what I think is the easiest way to get a zipper inserted into a pillow. So that is how you make the soccer pillow or the football pillow. And if there's another shape that you would be looking to make using this idea and this sort of basic design, there's a couple ways that you can create different shapes. One, obviously, is to just free-handed, draw them by hand. Or you can also find something online and print it out and then trace it. You can find different shapes for, say, flowers or sports or something, a snowman like I mentioned before. And a lot of people, one of the ladies at the class I taught yesterday actually uses coloring books, and I've heard that before because they've got just recognizable shapes with really clean lines that are easy to follow. But what I would recommend if you are either drawing your own or finding an image and tracing it is, if you're going to stick with this 10.5-inch square size, start with a piece of paper for your design that is either 8.5 by 11, a standard piece, or if you even want to go up to, say, about 9, and then make sure that your drawing fits within that square, because this finished size of this blue square is 10 inches. So anything that gets close to 10 inches in size will end up getting caught in your, will be larger than your square. So if you start with the size paper of the shape that you want, then you can draw it to scale so that it fits in your pillow. So I hope you enjoyed my tutorial on how to make these pillows, and I'm going to get my football one and my second soccer one finished, and I'll be sure to post them both in the ThermOWeb Craft Room Facebook page. And if you are on Instagram, you can follow me at Quilty Zest. That's just like on my shirt, QUILTYZEST. And I also have a website where I have a blog where I talk about projects that I'm creating and show my new patterns. And if you are looking for Strippy Improv Halloween, which is what's behind me, you can definitely find that there as well. Oh, and Dawn is getting ready to draw our winner from today's viewers. So thank you all for leaving a comment and getting yourselves entered into that prize. And I hope that whoever wins enjoys finding ways to spend their ThermOWeb gift certificate. There's a lot of fun things to choose from. Carletta Morris is the winner. Congratulations. That means that you can make football pillows for your 3 grandsons. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you here next month, because I do a Facebook Live every month. So hope to see you next month, and I'll be showing you another project made using ThermOWeb supplies. Have a great rest of your day, and thanks again.